What's up, guys? I am the Mad Hatter, and this is my MMA channel. Welcome back. It's been over a year, or at least almost a year since the last video where I promised you guys more lists. A lot's happened since then. I moved, went through a few phones and a few devices I could have been filming videos on, and I competed. I competed for New Breed Jiu-Jitsu back in September, and I've been training a lot. And I took home bronze, and now I'm training with two teams. I'm training with Mango Combat Sports. Very good team. Definitely look them up. That's my home. Those are my guys. And Boone County Jiu-Jitsu is also a very good team that's kind of just starting out, but I've been training there a little bit too. They're pretty good. We're going to get right into our list. There's going to be some controversy with these two lists today. I'm doing Bantamweight, and then the next video will be Featherweight. This is my list. This is my personal list. This is focusing on things like, obviously, their fame, their stardom, their wins, most importantly, and the work they've done, things they've accomplished, or if they're a pioneer of the division. These are the things we're going to be focusing on in these lists. Now, number 10, we have Cody Garbrandt. I know everybody's going to be like, oh, no, Cody Garbrandt didn't do all that much, and he's on a skid now and all this. Yes, he's on a skid now. But you cannot deny the rise that the man had. He was one of the first guys in the Bantamweight division that came up undefeated and dominated until winning the title. Obviously, he had one of the best rivalries in the division's history with TJ Dillashaw, and those were all great fights. He knocked down TJ in both of those fights. Definitely gave him a run for his money, but just got beat, just got clipped. And you can't deny the performance against Dominic Cruz, who is a generational talent, a generational champion, probably one of the best fighters of all time. And I have a sneaking suspicion he might be on this list as well. But Cody Garbrandt is definitely deserving of this list. He's going to be in this top 10 for a while, I think. I don't think he stays there forever because we've seen a lot of guys on the come up, but he definitely is there right now for the things that he did. Notable wins that he's had include Dominic Cruz, obviously, Takeya Mitsugaki, who's another guy that came up in that division, and he came up when a lot of pioneers of that division did and gave a lot of guys runs for their money. Very, very good fighter. He beat Rafael Assunção, which was a very, very vicious knockout. That was clean. Huge hook, last second of the fight, knocked him out. That's going to be remembered forever. And he also beat Brian Boom Kelleher, who's a pretty high-level guy that was in the UFC and is now signed to the GFL. Our next guy, our number 9 on this list, we have Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes did not win the title in the UFC, got very close, fought for the title against Henry Cejudo and lost. But he has beaten so many high-level guys. He's such an entertaining striker. He's decent on the ground. Obviously, he's not the best in the world, but he's decent on the ground. And his striking is incredible. If anybody wants to learn about striking or the come-up of the Bantamweight division, look no further than watching Marlon Moraes. He beat Miguel Torres. He beat Jose Aldo. He beat Aljamain Sterling and John Dodson. Huge wins. And against a mix of grapplers and strikers, he could pretty much do it all, and he was very good. And you definitely didn't want to get hit by that head kick. Number 8. Don't know why I did that. Number 8, we have Aljamain Sterling. The reason Aljamain is so low on this list, a lot of people are going to criticize me for that, and I know it. And I welcome conversation in the comments from anybody that has either some changes to this list or a different list of your own. You can post it in the comments, and I'll absolutely discuss those with you. Aljamain Sterling's low on this list just because of the lack of finishes, and he didn't really make his name huge. Obviously, he has a lot of title defenses and a win of the title at Bantamweight. He's a great fighter. I'm not knocking his style or him as a person, but his style left a lot to be desired with the casual audience and with the audience of people that have not trained before or people that just want to see stand-up. Obviously, people like me that have trained for a long time or people that train every day and understand the sport are going to appreciate his style more. And obviously, I'm not knocking that kind of style. I'm very jiu-jitsu and wrestling-based myself. But that being said, he made himself a star, but he didn't make himself to the level of stardom or to the level of remembrance that a lot of these guys did. He's got a lot of decisions, not a lot of finishes. You look up a highlight reel of Aljamain Sterling, you're going to see a lot of laying on people. But Aljamain Sterling's a great fighter, and his notable wins include TJ Dillashaw, Piotr Jan, Corey Sandhagen, Henry Cejudo, and Renan Barão. Obviously, nothing to sneeze at. Great list of guys that he has beaten. Next, we have our number 7, Merab Dvalishvili. The reason Merab's on this list so early is because you got to look at the guys he's beat, and you got to look at the way he's dominated and what he's done to get there. And now he's made himself a star with some of the crazy stuff he does in the octagon and some of the trash talk he's had. Some of the things he does are absolutely crazy. But Merab goes out there time and time again and gets it done. And he has great defense, offense of the grappling. He makes his grappling very entertaining. He's got some decent boxing to back it up. And he really gets through a lot of these guys and a lot of the guys that people didn't think he was going to beat. So he just became the champion. Yes, he just had one title defense. But I think, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Merab Dvalishvili will be much higher on this list in the future. Merab beat Sean O'Malley for the title. Obviously a great performance. He was kissing Sean on the back while guillotining him, which was insane because Sean is obviously no slouch. Umar Nurmagomedov, that was a great fight between both guys, but he did really outclass Umar in that fight. The way he out-wrestled Henry Cejudo, an Olympic gold medalist and a great combat sports athlete, one of the best of all time, that was incredible to me. That's what really turned me on to watching Merab fight and watching his real talent that he has is him beating Henry Cejudo as soundly as he did. He's also beaten Jose Aldo and Marlon Moraes as well. And he's just moving up and beating a lot of these guys. Next up, we have our number 6, Sean O'Malley. The reason Sean O'Malley is on this list above Merab which is bold, but it's there just because of his stardom. He's kind of the first Conor McGregor of that division, right? He kind of went up there and made himself a star with the way he talked and his personality and the way he worked, and his striking is super entertaining. Some of the dominant victories he's had over these guys is incredible. His come up on the Contender Series is incredible. There's a lot of people, including people that I'm related to, that have said right when he won in the Contender Series, people were saying, oh, this guy's going to be champion, you know? And, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the way he fights, obviously, and a huge fan of him in general. And do I think he beats Merab ever? No. Do I think he beats Umar? No. I don't think he beats a lot of these high-level wrestlers unless he gets a lot of work in and learns it. But he does have pretty decent level jiu-jitsu. A lot of people don't know about this, but he tapped Takanori Gomi in a jiu-jitsu match, and it was pretty cool. He's got some very, very good jiu-jitsu, very slick on the ground as well. That's why he was able to get up so many times against a guy like Merab. It's pretty high level just being able to do that. Notable wins include the knockout over Aljamain Sterling. He literally Conor McGregored Aljamain Sterling. He walked back, stepped back, and threw a huge left, knocked him right out. Actually, it was a right. It was a right. But Connor's was a left. Sorry. It was a huge right, but it was the same punch. He moved back, he threw that straight, and he knocked him out. Did exactly what he said he was going to do. Piotr Jan, that was a very good fight, very entertaining. Eddie Wineland. Wineland's a high-level boxer. He's good. And he's definitely good on the feet. And O'Malley made it look easy. Marlon Chito Vera, nobody's ever going to forget that knee. Sounded like a baseball bat, and credit to Marlon Vera for still standing there and eating that and lasting till the judges. Our next up, we have Uriah Faber. Obviously, he's a pioneer of the smaller divisions. I'm one of the guys that's going to say he probably is one of the reasons these divisions still exist today. Because obviously they were going to do away with flyweight. Obviously he had nothing to do with flyweight, but bantamweight and featherweight, Uriah was one of the first stars in these smaller divisions from the WEC days all the way up to the UFC days. Obviously he never won the title in the UFC, but he was a great WEC champion. and he's had a lot of notable victories over pioneers and greats of that division. He's got a great style mixing in his wrestling with his striking, and he was always a great fighter. Everybody's going to remember the California Kid. Notable wins include one of my first coaches, Jeff Curran, Dominic Cruz, Jens Pulver, and Eddie Wineland. He's beaten some real generational talent. Jens Pulver, again, was one of the first stars of those little divisions, the smaller divisions, and he beat him pretty soundly, and Jens was a pretty good striker. Jens was also one of the first champions that the UFC had in these smaller divisions. I believe the first lightweight champion. And Jeff Curran's got some great jiu-jitsu, and Uriah beat him. Dominic Cruz, great fighter. Probably, again, one of the greatest of all time in this division. And he had a great rivalry with Cruz as well. Really put those two on the map, that rivalry. Next, I would say Henry Cejudo is our number 4. Henry Cejudo, the reason he's up here, not just because of what he did in the UFC. This is not just based on the UFC. This is the greatest bantamweights of MMA of all time. And Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Henry Cejudo won the flyweight title and the bantamweight title in the UFC, and he's beaten so many guys. He's the guy that dethroned Demetrius Johnson, which obviously not an easy task. DJ's my greatest fighter of all time, which all-time fighters list will be happening sometime soon after I'm done with all the divisions as well. Marlon Moraes, he beat for the bantamweight title. It was vacant at the time. He beat Sergio Pettis. He beat Dominic Cruz. He beat TJ Dillashaw. And everybody thought Dillashaw was going to walk through him, but he went out there and he knocked him out. He made it look really easy. Henry Cejudo is one of the greatest fighters of all time, one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time, and definitely the number 4 bantamweight of all time. And he was just amazing in his time fighting. Miguel Torres is my number 3. Now, Miguel Torres is not known to a lot of newer people in martial arts, but Miguel Torres has a record of 44 wins and 9 losses in professional MMA. He was around during the WEC days with Jeff Curran and Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz, all these guys that were on the come up that made these divisions what they are today. And Miguel Torres was supposed to be the next big thing in the UFC when he came up. He was a WEC champion for a very long time. The WEC was the promotion that the UFC absorbed and took these little divisions on when they did that. He beat guys like Takeo Mitsugaki. He beat Antonio Banuelos, and he beat Charlie Valencia. He beat a lot of very, very, very good fighters. And he's very underappreciated. He could go on the feet, and he had great grappling as well. I believe his son actually competed for the same jiu-jitsu promotion I competed for, obviously in the youth divisions, I think recently. I'm not 100% on that. But Miguel Torres is a very, very, very good fighter, and he doesn't get enough recognition, and he deserves that recognition because when he got into the UFC, it was kind of late in his career. It was kind of at a point where, you know, it was, I wouldn't say okay, but it was kind of okay for him to take those losses because he's already established. He's already beaten so many guys. He's already been a champion. He's already known as one of the greatest bantamweights there ever has been. But Miguel Torres makes that list and makes number 3 because of that and because of that insane record. And next we have Renan Barão. Renan Barão, man, if you want to see good striking, if you want to see a guy that just beat and took on all comers when it came to this division, look no further than Renan Barão. Renan Barão was so entertaining with his striking, and Max Holloway even said that Renan Barão was one of the biggest inspirations he had in the striking game. Along with a lot of new fighters say that. I definitely watched a lot of Renan's fights and took a lot of things from his striking style into my own. Renan Barão is a very, very good fighter and the number 2 bantamweight of all time, in my opinion. His record is very wide. He's fought so many times. His style is great. He held a title. He beat Uriah Faber, Michael Mayday McDonald, Scott Jorgensen, Eddie Wineland. He beat all these very high-level guys, and he made a lot of these look easy. And he had some crazy, crazy striking. Our number 1, pretty obvious who our number 1's going to be. Our number 1 bantamweight of all time is Dominic Cruz. He put this division on the map. He dominated all comers for years. Nobody thought this guy was beatable. If you want to see a guy that was so interesting to watch fight, the way he moved his head, his striking, his grappling, his takedowns, every little thing, he was so well-rounded, and he was an amazing fighter, still is. He's having his retirement fight pretty soon here against Rob Font, but he just had some injury woes over the years, really, but he was amazing and definitely deserves the number one on this list. He put that division on the map. He had great rivalries with TJ Dillashaw. He had great rivalries with everybody. Uriah Faber, TJ. You know, he had a fight with Cody Garbrandt where they kind of exchanged a little bit. That's another thing he revolutionized in this division. He's one of the best trash talkers of all time, and a lot of people don't really understand that. But he is one of the best talkers of all time as well. The way that he just dismissed everybody, he was so dismissive in his trash talk that he made every single fight interesting, even if you knew he was going to win it. You went and you watched. He was super entertaining, and he's a superstar for a reason. And a great commentator at that as well, very analytical and has a great mind about him for the sport. His notable wins include Demetrius Johnson at Bantamweight before DJ was the flyweight champ. He beat Uriah Faber. He beat Takeya Mitsugaki. He beat TJ Dillashaw. He beat Pedro Munoz. He beat so many great guys, and that list just goes on and on of guys that he beat. Also, I believe fought Jeff Curran and beat him as well, if I'm not mistaken. One of my former coaches and one of the best coaches I've ever had. Great guy. Very knowledgeable person. But yeah, Dominick Cruz is the GOAT of Bantamweight. And I think there's going to be a lot of agreement with that. I think there's going to be a lot of disagreement with that. But I don't think if you disagree with that, that's necessarily a bad thing. But I do think you should rewatch his fights. Dominick Cruz is the greatest bantamweight of all time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Our featherweight list will be coming soon. This is going to be a more regular thing now. It's not going to be I put this up and then I'm gone for a year. This is going to be a more regular thing. I'm going to be uploading on this channel a lot, and I'm very, very proud and privileged to say that I can do this, and I appreciate every view, even if it's not that many. And hopefully this becomes a bigger thing in the future, because I would love to share my knowledge with newer fans, older fans, and anybody that I can in the world. We're going to have a lot more gym videos on here. We're going to have a lot of instructionals on here. We're going to have some tier lists on here. I love those videos, and I love watching them, and, you know, a lot of the things people have done with that. We're going to have a lot of historical videos on here, me talking about MMA history. Maybe we'll talk about a certain person. Maybe we'll talk about a certain event or certain things that have happened in MMA history. But this channel's mission is to educate people about mixed martial arts in general, and about the history of it, because I have been around this sport since I was in 6th grade, so over 10 years now. And I've been training for years. This sport really changed me as a person. It became my whole life. It became a huge part of my life. And this sport is something great to get into. This is something that isn't just entertainment to me, but is one of the most dedicated, one of the most hardworking things a human being can do. And I would love to teach people more and more about it, more than I do already, being a coach, a wrestling coach, and I coach jiu-jitsu once in a while as well. And I've been coaching sports since I've been young, and obviously the history of MMA is something that I have quite extensive knowledge about, and I love sharing that knowledge with anybody that would like to learn about it. So thank you so much for watching. Obviously, we're going to have our featherweight list soon. Like I said, that'll be the next video. We're doing a double upload today. Go ahead and watch the channel. Mad Hatter out.